Oklahoma High School girls basketball between the lines with my man Coach V on a Monday night. What's up, Coach?
What's going on? Getting ready for playoffs.
We're in a different spot tonight. We are at a very special place, Therapy Center. My man Brent Chase will be joining us here shortly. He's helping people get back healthy, and that's what it's all about. That's why we came here, Coach.
Exactly right.
To get educated on how to get back healthy because we have a lot of injuries. Actually, we got one of our players in here. She was in here, Siani. She tore her ACL back in June, and these fine people's been helping her get back and get back in shape and get back on the court. So it's good to see her get back in here. But Coach, nice win for you on Saturday night. Against Mount St. Mary. You kind of beat up on them a little bit, Coach.
You questioned us. You questioned us last time. Well, Coach, you said we won by 50-10, so I had to go back and put it 54.
Yeah, Coach, I mean, you beat them, was it 84-30?
Yeah, we shot well.
What, 14 threes?
Yeah, 14 threes. I don't know what the percentage was, probably about 60%, 50% from the field.
That's what you want, Coach, going into the playoffs. You want your team shooting the ball really good at this time of the season. So, but like I said, we're excited to be out here, folks, to be out here at a very special place because a place that we don't want to see kids at, but it's happening so much that a lot of kids are getting injured. And so he's going to educate us a little bit how to try to, prevent injuries. You can't ever stop injuries, but how to get back in shape and get back to being where you was 100%. Because a lot of times when young ladies and men get hurt, they're never the same, Coach. So we want to get educated on that. It's something we told you listeners that we would bring to you. And so we're at this very special place on a Monday night. As you know, playoffs, 3A, 2A is having games starting with I think some tonight.
I think some are tonight. I think 2A plays tonight.
2A's playing tonight. Then you got some 3A games, and then I think everybody's off on Wednesday. I think.
Yep.
And then Thursday's when the big 5A and 6A start off.
There you go.
Thursday night girls will be playing in 5A, and probably 6A. Then 6A boys. Boys will play 6A boys and 6A 5A. I'm sorry, 5A boys and 6A boys will probably play Friday, then turn around and play again.
Everybody plays Saturday.
Yeah,
everybody
so
plays Saturday.
I hope you're in good shape because you're playing back-to-back nights, and it gets kind of like a tournament. But I mean, it is a tournament. It's the big-time tournament. It's the March Madness tournament. But Coach, you want to get into some games real quick before we bring Mr. Chase on?
Yeah, we all know, this is a tough matchup in the second round. I'm looking at it, and you got Pawhuska and Caney Valley. We talked about Brooklyn Miles and how she raised herself to number one in the Prep Hoops girls ranking. Very versatile guard, about 5'10". Got some D1 offers, but Caney Valley's got a player themselves, a young lady named Presley Smith that transferred over, I believe, from Dewey. And she's done some good things over there at Caney Valley and has made a difference for them, a great athlete. And so that's a tough matchup. I mean, you think Pawhuska be ranked higher at 12, but they're not. So you got a 12-17 matchup right there in the second round.
Well, I know with Brooklyn Miles, like I said, all the things that she's accomplished this year from the offers and stuff like that. And I think one of the goals that she'll love to have is to get her team to the state championship.
Right.
I know those offers mean a lot, but winning that gold ball for your team and always having that opportunity to have that banner hang up when, like I said, when you come back to your 10-year, 20-year reunion, that banner is always going to hang up in the auditorium. So the big thing with her, is keep playing good ball, keep doing things that she's doing, and hopefully she can get her team to the state tournament because they're going to kick off before they'll be playing in the big house, the new house before anybody because
no, that's A and B will.
Yeah. Oh, Class A and B.
2A, 3A, 4 together.
Together, okay, yeah. But that's your kickoff.
Well, maybe change it out.
It's so different because I just found out last night that the 5A girls are going to be playing in Lloyd Noble, and then the championship game is going to be played at the new house. But then I heard it's going to be played at UConn, so I'm kind of confused, Coach. I don't know where it's going to be played at.
Well, unless they change the rule. The rule was last year when they moved 5, 6A to state fairgrounds was so everybody gets to play their first game
at the fairgrounds.
I've been there. Let's see. One year at Deer Creek, we did not play our first game. We played at UCO. First year at Luther, I made it. We played at UConn, and then they made that rule. And then third year I made it. We got our first game at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, like I said, I would love everybody to get that one game at the fairgrounds just to get that opportunity. And even if you don't get to play in the championship, you get one game there. But I don't know how that's going to go. That's something that we got to look up and find out. I mean, I don't know if OSSA said that the other day when they did their show because I kind of turned it off because we wouldn't do our whole show. But like I said, a big shout out once again for letting us come over to this wonderful facility. But I mean, a lot of people's in here rehabbing. You hate to see people in here, but it happens. People get injured and they got to come in and get put back together. But Coach, any other big games stand out to you?
Fairview. I think Fairview. Fairview's going to end up playing Pawhuska or Caney Valley if they get by Hooker. And Fairview's a team that knocked off Dale one game and played Dale tough the second game. And they've got a young lady named Josie. I had it written down, Josie Hayes. I mean, she's a nice little player, and so. That interests me a little bit. Not that game, but maybe the game after between Pawhuska, Fairview, and Caney Valley. And that's just in that District 1. Coach Okima does a good job down there. He came over from Lindsay, but you got down there sitting Dale. So in one district, one area, you have Dale and you have Fairview.
Yes, sir.
And Fairview beat Dale.
Yes, sir.
So, that's that thing where you try to get a backdoor in. We talk about trying to backdoor your way in.
Yes, sir.
Well, you got Fairview down there, and you got Dale. That's a tough backdoor in because you got to beat Fairview, who beat Dale. You got to beat Dale, who, has been ranked number 1. So that's a bad luck of the draw. I've had that happen to me before, where I've had number 1 and a former number 1 in there, and you get to the constellation that game to go in the loser bracket. You're still playing a number 1 ranked team.
Yeah, you're playing a top-notch team.
Yeah,
there's some good teams in this. You look at Stratford, a good team, and you talk about Riverside. Riverside's a team that played over in the Mustang Classic and knocked off some good teams in that.
Yeah, Coach P does a good job over there.
And so, that's not an easy task too. I mean, they're sitting at number 6. Then you got Merritt. I mean, sitting at number 4. They'll take on Holbert, a team, but Merritt should be able to get the win. And then, like I said, there's a lot of good teams. You got Wagner down there. Sitting there at number 20, don't know how good they can do. He's sitting at that number 20 spot. But there's going to be some people don't get in, Coach. I mean, you're looking at it. There's going to be some teams that don't get in. Then you got Howe sitting at number 2. They'll take on Concord.
Coach Brown does a good job. Coach Brown always, he's a familiar face at the state tournament. Coach Chris Brown does a great job. Great man. I got a chance to meet him when I had my transplant. He prayed for me constantly every day. So me and him kind of got a little close during that time, But I'm looking down there. You talk about Merritt, don't sleep on Cashin. Cashin's had a good season. I mean, they got a 6'1" girl named Brooke Shafe down there, and they got a scoring guard. So Cashin's schedule's been tough, and so there's some good later on matchup rounds. The second or third day. So
what about Hawthorne, Coach? That's a team that played the Mustang Classic too.
Well, they got the Davis kid. Remember the Davis kid? They got a shooter down there as well, and like I said, the Davis kid got I believe got all tournament. At the Mustang tournament.
Yeah, Mustang tournament. And that's the thing about it, man. You see some of these smaller teams go play in these big time tournaments. It gets them ready for this tournament right here. This is what they get. They don't go play in the Mustang tournament to try to win. They go in there to try to get better. Right. And if they do win some ball games, it's a bonus for them. But they're getting a set better, playing against bigger and faster young ladies. So Hawthorne's a team that they can easily win this. Merritt. One of my favorite teams, I think that I like to say is Kansas, because we're not in Kansas, Toto. We're in Oklahoma City. So anytime I see Kansas, like, why is a team called Kansas playing in Oklahoma? But hey, that's just lucky to draw their name. But they're a team that you always see. You see them in football, you see them in basketball. Yep. So it's a pretty good program they have down there at the school of Kansas. So we want to give all the luck to all the young ladies out there. I know Skylar and her post players looking for a state championship. Came up short last year. Done some good things. Got a couple losses, but I think they redeemed themselves by playing Millwood and getting beat by Millwood and what was the other team? Fairview. So it's a team that wants to win the state championship. Lost it last year. I think they lost in the semifinals last year. And they're trying to redeem themselves to get back to it. And then those seniors want to go out with a bang. This is a team that's played well all year long. Yeah, they got a couple losses, but when a team like a 2A team can go out and play in a tournament of champions, one of the top-notch tournaments here in Oklahoma, and win it and beat some good teams. Knocked off Carl Albert, knocked off Bigsby, then knocked off Union. So you went from a 5A team they knocked off to 2 6A teams that's probably going to make the state tournament in 6A. So that tells you right there what kind of program they run down there over there at Dell, year in and year out, boys and girls. Don't think because of the last forte is leaving on the boys' side that they're done. Hey, there are going to be some more kids that's going to move in there, because when you are a winning program like that, people's going to come in. You rebuild every year. You're kind of like the Patriots. You don't stop. building that tradition is going to keep going, because when you're a basketball team and you love to play basketball, that's where you're going to be. So they don't have very many sports, but they got enough that can make a big deal.
Well, we talked about Washington. We had the Bella girls on, a couple weeks ago. That's just the culture that you have down there. You play a sport at Dell, you expect to win. That's the expectation. And that goes all the way down from high school all the way down to elementary, Little League, when they go play Little League.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean? There's something about wearing that jersey that has Dell on it. That
Coach, you
makes
think
walk
it's a
with
jersey?
something.
I'm
telling you, it's the name.
They serve.
Yeah, it's the name on the front. That name on
It
the
could
front.
be the popcorn, Coach.
That
It could
name-
be the popcorn.
That name on the front comes
Hey,
high expectations.
It goes high. When you put on that Washington jersey.
Now, I would
as
tell
a-
you
as
what
a-
Washington used to have back in the day when I recruited. They had big baked potato, about that big, and they had smoked brisket on it.
Uh-huh.
I used to go recruit all the time at Washington.
I bet you did, Coach. I bet you did, because you got one of those potatoes, huh?
Hey, I got a player out of it too, Jennifer Jupin. I got Jennifer Jupin out of it. I mean, the potatoes were good though.
Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring Brent Chase on to have him talk to us a little bit about some injury prones and how we can stop these injuries, folks. If we could, we would.
Yes,
but
sir.
hey, maybe he has a secret portion to help stop some of these injuries. So we're going to bring him on after one of our sponsors. So we're right back on Oklahoma High School Girls Between the Lines with my man, Coach B. Right back.
The gang's the same, but we changed the name, and we're now Chaos Customs OKC. Still your one-stop shop for all your vehicle upfitting and accessory needs. With almost 30 years in the business, we're your go-to for lift kits, wheels, tires, spray liners, bed covers, leather, fleet solutions, and so much more. Give us a call today at 405-778-8878.
Welcome back to Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines on this Monday night with my man, Coach V. We got a special guest that's going to help us, folks. Help us. We're praying that he can help stop some of these injuries. I got my man, Brent Chase, here with, let me make sure I got the name right, Physical Therapy Center here in Midwest City. This guy takes care of the Bombers, and he takes care of the mighty, mighty Titans, what we like. So, Brent, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
No pressure there, no pressure.
No pressure. Like I said, we're gonna give a shout out to Siani, and he's getting her back, that she can get back on the court, and playoff starts. So Siani's one of the young ladies you've been taking care of.
Been working with her for a while now.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. I was there when she went down, but I'll tell you right now, you've done a great job, because it's funny, when she went down, it was a non-contact injury. I was there, we're scrimmaging over at Mustang in the summer, and you look at it, she got hurt back in June, and I mean, look at the recovery time. It's February still, and she got a chance to play in the playoffs. So I want to say thank you for that, because you've done a great job on that.
Been doing very well.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm originally from Midwest City. I grew up here, went to Carl Albert, all that. So I really like being back here, working with Carl Albert and just the local athletes. Midwest City High School as well. We also do a little bit of work with Ardell City. We have a Southeast OKC office that really does that. PTC as a whole, we've got 41 clinics across the state. And so, pretty much any of our kind of communities that y'all talk about, we're probably in them somewhere.
That's it.
And so we can help out, across the way. But right here, Midwest City, helping out with Mid-Dell athletics for sure is something that we really like doing.
So you're telling me you did a little bit with Andy Collier, then?
I work with Andy Collier, yes sir.
Andy's a good man. I've got a
Yeah.
chance to know him and his son and the family, so that's a good person to work with. I think Andy, he still has a little bit of bragging rights. His son just won a state championship over here at Carl Albert, but Andy is still the last quarterback that's won a state championship at Midwest City back in I think at 95 and 96. He won one with the Bombers, so he still can walk around with his chest poked out a little bit, because he's the last 6'8", 5'8" quarterback. I mean, I guess you'd say 6'8" at the time. But Andy's done his job and done a great job with all three schools, being the athletic director. But Rich, nowadays, man, you're seeing a lot of injuries with young men and women, tearing ACLs and some of the other injuries. So what's one of the most common injuries that you see a lot these days?
I mean, definitely ACLs for sure. We get a lot across all sports. We get a lot of basketball players too, but we've worked with football and soccer and everything like that. Meniscus are up there for sure. A lot of knee injuries. Depending on the sport, of course, we'll get some, shoulder injuries and everything like that we work with. But, PT is really well equipped to help with, one, prevention of these things, but also rehabbing them whenever we need to as well.
So, Coach, you have anything real quick? I mean,
No, I mean, one I've seen it kind of has come out of the last year and a half, or labrums in the hip. And
Yep.
I've seen them in the shoulder, but I've had a young lady come back with it from the hip as well, 2 of them.
Yeah, we've had a few of those. I had a soccer player last year that I really helped with on hip labrum. That one was really cool because I saw her early on playing with the injury and kind of helped through the rehab process and everything like that. But yeah, we get hips for sure, and usually if it's a surgical hip thing, a lot of times it's going to be a hip labrum in sports.
Yeah, that's what she had. I think almost a total hip replacement. Almost seemed like.
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a tricky process sometimes with those labrums in the hip, but we can get them back to sports for sure.
so Brett, so a lot of these kids are tearing their ACL. What do you think was coming from? Are the muscles not tight around the knee, or what can they do? I mean, I know you don't have the magic answer, but if you could educate the listeners, maybe some stretches they can do to try to help build it up. I don't know. That's why we're coming to you, because we're seeing so many of it. I tell people all the time, I don't even want to see my worst enemy get that, because especially a young lady or a young man just trying to further himself in college football, basketball, whatever sport it is. But is there anything you think that could try to maybe help try to prevent some of these injuries?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there are several things that can play into an ACL tear, right? I mean, everything coming down from your nutrition, your mechanics with different landing, power movements, even strength and stability during things. So, I mean, if you are wanting to get into prevention, then you got to look at nutrition for sure. We see this a lot in female athletes, or something called the female athlete triad, that can put them at a little bit of an increased risk of an ACL thing. But strengthening for sure. Hamstrings help with protecting the ACL, so you really want to get strong hamstrings. Also, just looking at the athlete as a whole, so their hips, their core, movement patterns, how they're landing, everything to help with that.
We had them at when I was at OBU. We had a couple go down, and we kind of did a study off of Lady WBA, and it was really interesting. Her theory is the way girls land, knees in instead of knees over the toes.
So a lot of times, getting into that, a lot of times that knees in, your knee valgus. So your knees are kind of collapsing in as you land. That can be for a lot of different reasons. Hip strength plays a part in that for sure. Stability throughout the knee for quads, hamstrings, everything like that. It can be a compensation pattern. Females also, they have different anatomy a little bit of wider hips that can increase what's called the Q angle that promotes that a little bit, which further increases the need for your hip and knee strength.
And then, as you talk about like working out and stuff, I always heard the theory was your decelerator was your hamstrings and your balance was your core. Or is there something that, I mean, like when we talk about working core, I mean.
Core is really important. That's going to help control your body in space, right? And so being able to activate your core to keep you stable through a land, through any type of cutting motion, as well as start to transfer your power to another direction, which puts some risk on, or some tension through the ACL there. And so trying to keep core strong so that you have good stability through your movements is important.
My last question is on that deal is girls land, I mean, we're obviously girls land on like flat-footed. They don't land on their toes so much. I know because I hear my girls run, I can hear them, I mean, they're not, they don't bring their knees up and they don't drive. I mean,
obviously it's going to be, person dependent for sure. I've seen, female athletes that have been trained really well, and they do land how we need to, on their toes, not flat-footed. It's things that we work on here in PT for sure. But being able to land on toes, kind of knees over toes for sure, that can help with absorbing different forces through the land. So it's not as much strain on the knees, and that can help for sure. And when we get into physical therapy, then whether it's after an injury or prior to an injury, that is things that we can work on to be sure that, one, you have the strength that you need for this, the knee stability, but then also your mechanics too.
So, you look at like a lot of these girls, they might tear it one time, then next time, I know there's a couple of young ladies I know, they tore it once and they turn around and tore it again. What do you think that comes from, though?
Again, so many different factors that can play into that for sure. Everything from, potentially an inadequate rehab process, returning too soon. There's certain things that I know here that we look at to be able to say, hey, you are ready to go back and play. In terms of muscle strength, different hop testing, and also just being sure that they have the confidence in their knee again too. Athletes that are playing from a position of fear also are at more risk of injury too. And so if they have not built back that confidence in their knee again, that can also put them at risk. So being sure they're going through a good, well-rounded rehab process can be, is really, really important for that to prevent those re-injuries.
With Achilles tendons, you see more of that in the NBA. I know I tore my Achilles at 28, and Dr. Langerman did my surgery, and he had told me I was young for Achilles. So is there really an age on that, or is it now that you're starting to see kids younger? You don't see a lot of high school kids really tear Achilles, but you see, kids in college and mostly pros though. Is there I know there's not an age, but do you see that common for a lot of high school kids?
I haven't seen a whole lot of high schoolers that have gone in, torn Achilles route. It's definitely possible for sure. Here, a lot of the ones that we're seeing are, middle-aged adults. I get a lot from Tinker Air Force Base right here, and we get a lot of
Tinker.
Nobody
working hard at Tinker.
We've definitely got a few out there that have done it, but then I've even seen some high school officials with some Achilles stuff.
I can see that trying to get them down the court.
So, it all encompassing for sure, but I personally have not seen a whole lot of younger athletes with the Achilles.
For the listeners out there, especially to the parents and the young athletes coming up, what would you kind of tell them? Some things that to try to work on, to try to make themselves better, stronger. Just not, I know you have educated us, but one thing that you would just say, hey, my number one thing to a young athlete is this.
It's got to be knee strength for sure. Appropriate knee strength and avoiding muscle imbalances too. Being sure that if your quads are strong, your hamstrings are strong too.
Yes, sir.
Being able to have that full knee stability is really important. That's going to help with power movements, but also watching through your landing and mechanics to that as well.
So do you recommend high school kids to lift weights and squats and all that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know I think a lot of kids might not do that, but they go out. One of the things that people thought it could be is that you think they're playing too many games, because nowadays when I played ball we really didn't have AAU. Now the kid is going from a full season of high school basketball, maybe take 2 or 3 weeks off, then he's jumping right into AAU basketball.
Yep.
And he might do another sport too. So do you think too many sports could hurt it too? Because
there is, for certain injuries, there is an issue with overtraining or too much at once. We see that a lot in throwers and everything like that. You can get that in the lower extremity too. A lot of times though, what a lot of research is coming out and showing is specializing too early into a sport.
Okay.
So if you have somebody that they are dead set on basketball and that is all they play, their body starts to move in what they need for basketball, and they lose movement patterns or stability with other motions. And so specializing too early is what a lot of research is showing can be detrimental.
I'm going to use my kid for example. She plays basketball and she's going to play tennis this year. Is that a good deal?
Absolutely. There's going to be some similarities in there, but there are different movement patterns that happen as well.
Yeah, because we talked about doing track, but I thought track, I see a lot of kids get hamstring problems in track and quads and all that, and shin splints. So I was like, man, I don't want to be traveling. You ain't got no hamstrings. That's too much money, So let's find a sport that it might not hurt. But y'all know tennis is good. A lot of great athletes.
A lot of lateral movement there. Yep.
Yeah, that's good though. But Brent, man, I really appreciate you, taking some time out. I know you got a full house in here, and trying to get these people, back the body back together where they can be 100% again.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I feel like you've done a great job with Siani. Like I said, watched her go down, and I got a chance to watch her shoot today. And man, she ain't missed a beat. She was shooting ball better than some of the girls that's been there all season. So,
absolutely.
Coach, you better get her in, Coach. But like I said, I appreciate what you do for the Middale schools. I know Andy speaks highly of you, man. And when we were looking to do a show, and we picked this place, and like I said, I appreciate it. I know Coach Vic, he's a head basketball coach at Harrah. He's fixing to hit the second round of high school playoffs, and he's had some girls that's been beat up, with a concussion, and he had one that had hip.
Yeah, she had a total hip. No hip replacement, but labor was totally had to redo her pelvis. Pelvis.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then but I was asking, like after a game, what should we be putting in our body?
That's it.
Absolutely. Nutrition's important for sure. Both.
You're not talking about the cheese from the nachos, right?
No, nutrition's important for sure, both pre-game and after,
Yes,
right? During the game, you want to be sure that you're going to have enough energy in there, right? So carbohydrates before the game is important because we know that having energy through the game will also prevent your help prevent injuries, because we know that if you fatigue, you're at higher risk there. So that helps. Afterwards, you want to replenish those carbohydrates, those energy stores. But then you can have some protein for sure. Help with muscle recovery for sure. Good protein shake is good for that. And of course, hydration through it all, right? Whether that's electrolytes, straight water, anything like that.
You have a time like Coach McCall at OBU. He was like 4 hours before game. 4 hours before game. I mean, he was pretty strict on. So it was in the body, absorbed in the body.
Yeah.
What was that time?
Few hours before game for sure, so that the body can start uptaking the carbohydrates and all that for energy. Afterwards, within a few hours as well. And then of course hydration, like I said, throughout, before, after, everything for hydration is
I try to tell
important
my
too.
kids that hot dog an hour before the game ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You give them protein. Coach.
Yeah.
Well, not even in your system.
You better get you a grilled cheese chicken sandwich.
A little snack before game though, smaller snack can be beneficial, especially if a small snack with some carbohydrates or protein. You want your bigger load though to be a few hours before.
Okay.
But Brent, we appreciate you. Like I said, we'll wrap it up. But like I said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll let him get back to doing his thing, and me and Coach V will wrap it up. And then, like I said, we'll catch everybody again on Thursday. But we're not done yet. We're going to take a quick break. We're right back after one of our sponsors, Oklahoma High School Girls Between the Lines with my man Coach V and the special guest Brent Chase for letting us come out and hang out in his place today. So we're right back.
Above the Line Hoops, helping players achieve their goals through recruitment, exposure, and promotion.
Welcome back to Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines with my man Coach V. Like I said, we had a special guest, Brent Chase, letting us come hang out at this place, man. It's pretty cool because, he educated us on some things that, a lot of people might not know. You talk about the fluids in the body. You talk about eating right after the game, and, it's funny because I know a lot of the kids don't eat right after the game. I mean, they're going to get some nachos or some M&Ms, and maybe
that's all they have. It's the only choices they have. I mean,
well, no, Coach, no. You know what? Get you, like he said, get you some snacks, put it in your bag. And be
well,
ready to
you
go.
got to put it in your bag.
Yeah.
But that's what we try to do. In our team room, we have granola bars. We have stuff in our team room, so our kids don't have to go on a home game. They don't have to go upstairs, to go get some. They get granolas and water and Gatorade, whatever we have in the team room, and that's provided by a tipping club. So if you're talking about how you can help in as a tipping club or booster club, is take care of those kids after the game at home. Or
Y'all hear that tipping club? Every tip-up club, boys and girls, make sure you got the right stuff in the snack machine for these young men and women after a game because, like I said, that's the most important, the way to try to prevent these injuries. You're never going to stop them, but you can try to do your best to prevent them. Like I said, the last thing I want to see is any young lady or man that's trying to get himself a scholarship in any sport, no matter, it don't have to be basketball, it could be any sport. It's crazy because, like I said, I remember when I was in high school, I've never heard, and Coach, you probably can say the same thing, I never heard a kid tearing their ACL or any of the stuff you had,
If he did, he shook it off. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think Coach used to put duct tape on us and say, get back out there. But the most common thing that I saw in high school was more a broken hand or broken thumb or
I remember
twisted
ankles.
ankle.
Ankles is the only thing I can remember.
yeah.
And that was a bucket and go down the store and get your brace.
You call it in, go over to your local CVS or Walgreens and put one
Back
of the
then, it might have been Safeway.
whatever you did.
TGY, go that
Yeah.
TGY, get you.
You didn't have that tape they got now. What's that GT? What's the tape them kids be wearing?
KT tape.
That KG tape, man. We had duct tape,
Yeah.
You got the duct tape or the gorilla tape, to put your ankles back together so you can play Friday night.
Yeah.
Coach Evans and Coach Coach Huggins and Coach Smith be like, hey, nah, go get some of that scotch tape. Let's wrap that figure up and be ready to go. And then you got a marker, you know. You painted it.
Painted it.
You painted your school color. But, Coach, anything else before we get out of here? We ain't got our music to close us out. But anything else you can speak on? Like I said, I know Wednesday night we're going to try to touch base on 5A, boys. Girls basketball. Maybe plug a little bit of 6A in there. We went over 6A bracket already. I don't think there's been any upsets so far, has it, Coach, that I've seen?
Not that I've seen. I mean, you got some good games, like I said, coming up in the first round, in the second rounds that make a difference. I mean, we got Purcell, and then, that'd be a good game. And then you got Chickasha, who's ranked, and we're ranked.
You'll have them
top
on
10.
Saturday, right? Saturday night?
Yeah, if we get by Thursday or Tuesday, we'll have them Saturday. So you got 2 teams in top 10 right there.
So, Coach, after that game, you're going to educate me a little bit. After that game on Saturday, what's next?
You're one game. If you win, you're one game away from going to tournament.
Going to to the new house.
New house, OG house, powerhouse, Laker house,
and
whatever.
there's a good chance you'll face Broken Bow.
Broken Bow, I have Fort Gibson, and I'm not gonna overlook Zoe and Avery and those kids up there. Because they play hard and they're young. But we had Jalen on Tyson Woolley, 6'2" kid out of Broken Bow. So they're ranked number 2 for a reason.
Yes, sir.
But you get that second round, that third one. We're kind of like you. You got to win that second game.
The second game's big for us.
Otherwise, you're going to go cross up, and we'll have to cross up and go up to maybe the loser of Fort Gibson and Broken Bow.
Well, you want to put yourself in a situation, that you no game are easy. When you start getting in each round, there's no easy game. There's no cupcake.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see no 64-12 game. You're gonna see ball games. And you got to prepare yourself for that. And that's something I think Coach Richie and Coach Banks and O'Hara has done is set him up. His last game of the season that he played against Midwest City. Great ball game. Then you turn around and you play Edmond Memorial. So he got an extra game in. To get the girls ready. They're going through some bumps and bruises, but today I got a chance to go over there and watch practice. I just kind of want to see how mine was doing, but at the end of the day, I wanted to see what the girls doing, and I saw a lot of coaching, working on some things. I ain't gonna give all the secrets out because I know Coach Carter's probably watching this show as he should as we get ready for the Bishop McGinnis. But I'm just saying, just saw some things that you haven't seen during the season. Now everybody got game for you, so now you got to start tweaking stuff, Coach. I mean,
we did that. We did that last 2 days. We put little wrinkles in here and there.
Yeah, because everybody's watched every film they could of you or any team. So that's what a great coach is going to do. He's going to sit back and what'd you say on Saturday? I'm doing nothing but sit on the couch and watch the film and watch the film. And that's what you do at this time of the year, though, because everybody's trying to get to the house. Because once you get in the house, hey, it's anybody's ball game. I don't care who you are. I've seen it year in, year out. Somebody's going to get knocked off. I tell people that all the time. That's why it's called March Madness. They don't do March Madness every year in the NCAA tournament just because, hey, we know Duke's going to win. You know what I mean? The other night I got a chance to watch Duke and Michigan. Michigan's the #1 team. Who knocked them off? Duke did.
Right.
So that's why you play the tournament in any division. That's why you go wrestle. That's why you go play tennis. Everybody had the Patriots winning the Super Bowl, and then you had the Seahawks winning. So you got to go put on your basketball shoes, your cleats, or whatever sport you're playing, and find out who the champion's going to be. But Coach, anything else before we get out of here?
Now, I appreciate PT Central coming and letting us come in, ask questions, and hopefully educate some young ladies and other players on what to eat, what to work on, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Prevention is there is some part of prevention. Like we were talking about, it may happen, but the severity of it happening, could be minimal if you are planning ahead.
Well, I know, we like I said, we had Mr. Brent Chase on, man. He looks like he could be a student himself, He's talking about he graduated. I'm thinking he's still in high school, looking at this young man. But, he's done a great job here, like I said, working with the Middale schools. There's a reason why Andy Collier has, all our athletes coming here. Like I said, we got one of our own here tonight. But it's also good that, you got somebody that's close to both high schools, down the street from Mississippi, down the street from Carlisle. But then they also got a place in Dale City that works with the Dale City kids. So I want to thank him, a big shout out for him letting us come over on this Monday night.
Yes, sir.
And talk about, like I said, injury, because like I said, I pray every day for each kid, not just my own, but each kid. I hate to see any young lady or man go down on the injury because, like I said, it could be the end of their career, especially if they're going into their senior year. We watched Paris, a great a great athlete over at Dell City. Went down earlier this year, and wasn't even getting guarded or nothing, just kind of going down the court, and she fell. Seemed like she's doing well though. I know she's a big piece of Dell City's girls basketball team, and they got a good chance to win state. And I know Coach White wished he had her this year, but you know what? They're gonna go take care of business. Like I said, you always got to worry about the next person. What I always say, Coach, I always say, next lady up.
Next lady up.
Next lady up, and that's why you go play the game. But like I said, we want to thank you, like I said, Physical Therapy Center for letting us come over today on this Monday evening and talk, high school girls basketball, but also talk the main thing about how to prevent injuries and what kind of things you got to do to rehab. So we want to thank you. We want you to like and subscribe. If you have not liked and subscribed to the show, please like and subscribe because we're getting there. And like I said, we're jumping on different trains and we're riding off the sunset. I had a chance to get on the show last night with what's it called, Daddy? I don't even know what's it called.
Dad's podcast.
Dad's basketball roundup with Mark Fleming. He's doing a good job on the boys' side. He had me come on and educate him a little bit about the girls' side. And it's always good when we can talk about our podcast. And Coach V has been doing numerous things. I think he's working twice as hard. He's working with his Hera girls, but he's also been working with some of his different shows. He got the Fresh. He got the give us some shout outs to the
I got the Frosh that comes on. We're talking about 2029s.
Yes, sir.
I got Full Court, which had a lady on, a girl last night, Olivia Bowen from Catoosa, who's averaging a double-double, 6-foot guard, having a great sophomore year, basically out of nowhere. I've got the deal called Comeback Kid, which we've had my girl on, Meredith Williams, who's went total hip surgery 2 years in a row. Going to have her other one done when she gets done playing soccer this year. And then I've got the new one out, Worthy 30, which has really done well.
Yes, sir.
I've had a couple kids on. I've had Kaylee Reed on, a 5'9" kid out of Ada, and I've had Emma Baggs, who's going to be an impact player, going to help Fort Gibson when she becomes a freshman. They're going to have 4 really, really good players.
They're going to be solid, Coach.
They're going to be solid. Fort Gibson's going to be back on the map.
Fort Gibson's a team that you got to keep your eye on the next few years because I'm telling you, they're going to be really good. But, with these shows, folks, it's educating you on girls basketball, There's not another podcast in the state of Oklahoma that's doing what we're doing. And we're giving you girls from all over the state. We're not just here in Middale or Hare or Jones. We're all over, So that's something that's good to have that, we do on our stream that we can bring multiple kids on and talk, high school girls basketball. But it's also good them to get back to the girls and let people know who they are because somebody might not know about a Zoe there at Fort Gibson or Ava Skaggs over there at Fort Gibson. And you talk about the young girl that
I'll tell you, they don't know who Living Bowen is, but they will after this summer, though. She is a physical girl, strong.
Is that the young lady from Ada?
No, that's the young lady from Catoosa.
And that Catoosa young lady, man, she kind of looked like that.
I'm telling you, she's got great size.
I'm telling you right now, somebody, I ain't saying no name, but some coach is going to try to get her to come to their school. When I saw that picture of her today, she kind of looked like that NBA with that holding the both basketballs. Yeah. I was like, Jiminy Christmas, you said she's a sophomore?
Sophomore.
Man, I'm telling you right now, she got 2 more years, and I'm telling you, Catoosa, you better get her an NIL deal, because if not, she going to be leaving. She going to be going somewhere else. But folks, like I said, we thank everybody for watching the show. Well, like I said, always like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Mr. Brown, you do the best job of doing that. But like I said, we'll catch you next time on Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines with my man, Coach V. Another big shout out to Brent Chase for letting us come on. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
We'd like to thank the following sponsors: Above the Line Hoops, Prep Girl Hoops, Keep It 100, and for the latest in high school girls basketball action, check out the podcast on YouTube at Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines.